Yeah, we wait a few minutes. So we're going to get started here. So just let everyone know, we're going to go through a presentation here and kind of hold off on questions because we want to be able to put the presentation online. And then we'll answer any questions after the presentation. And the presentation will be pretty brief. We have 10, 15 minutes, but give a bit of an overview of the project. All right. Well, good evening, everyone. We're here for the Barberry Relief Sewer presentation. The purpose of the presentation is to really go through the relief sewer on Barberry, which is going from Eureka to Brest along Barberry, and talk about the project goals, talk about the project funding, the project, some of the details about the projects, and also some of the funding components of the project. I'd like to introduce our team through there. I'm John Hennessy. I'm the city engineer. And with me is Nick Uvan. He's the project engineer. Jason Mateo is the hydraulics engineer. And Joe Alberts is the geotechnical engineer with that. And then off camera that you can't see is John Miller, is the construction manager. And then Amato Lee also with our office is the construction manager. And the overall project of the goal in essence is to eliminate street drainage into the sanitary sewer system, which will mitigate the frequency or potential for basement flooding through there and get us to what's referred to in the industry as an adequate level of service for sanitary sewer flows through there. And the project is funded through a FEMA hazard mitigation grant. It's a $25 million grant. And the contract was awarded to Dan's Excavating for $20.5 million with contingency and soft costs. It's around $25 million lump sum project through there. The grant is a 90%, 10% match, so our obligation out of the $25 million is 10%. We have that money in our bank accounts now, so there's no increase whatsoever to taxes to anybody through there. And I think we should just say a quick minute about how this project came about. The genesis of the project really was the August 2014 event where we flooded out approximately 2,500 basements. After that event, we held two public open houses at the high school. They were well attended with probably 600 to 700 people each night to explain, how our system flooded, what occurred through those situations through there. Upon that, the mayor brought together really the entire team of the administration, the finance, the DPW team, the engineering team, and he said, we have to create a solution for this so that this doesn't happen every 10 years through there. And that was really what got the ball rolling through here. We've really been working on this project really since probably that flood event in one form or fashion. And one thing I want to really highlight is the administration through the mayor, funded the design of the project without having a funding source for the project in place. But we knew that we had to demonstrate to get ourselves eligible for FEMA grants, that we had to demonstrate, number one, there was a problem through there, and number two, we had a solution, and three, we had a defined cost for that solution through there. You can't go to FEMA and just say, we have a problem, we need money, let's give it to us so we can correct it. They want to see all of these benchmarks through there. And because of that foresight, we were able to separate ourselves from nationwide applications. The FEMA grant is a nationwide application through there, and we have received the largest flood hazard mitigation grant in the state of Michigan, and this is the largest single project undertaken by the city of Southgate independently through there. And to kind of go through, Nick, do you want to go through some of the project, some of the project overview and stats?
Yep. And Nick Uvan. So project ranges, it goes from the north end at Brest all the way down to Eureka on the south end. It's a deep relief sewer. It starts 66 inches in diameter up at Brest, and it flows downhill toward Eureka. It gets up to 78-inch in diameter by the time it gets there. And then we're building a drop shaft to connect into a Eureka tunnel that runs east-west along Eureka toward Wyandotte. That tunnel is approximately, I believe, 32 feet to the top of tunnel, 45 feet to the bottom. And we're going to do a drop shaft and connect down in there. So it includes that drop shaft connection. We'll be doing jack pipe tunneling across Eureka and Northline. So we'll without digging there, we'll cross pipes under the road there. And it includes a connection to an existing stub out bulkhead on the Sycamore Sewer project, which is just finishing up. And what that does is it'll allow us during dry weather conditions, the water will divert down Sycamore, go into the Howard Tunnel. And when it's a rain event and the water gets real heavy in there, it'll spill over and enter into the Eureka Tunnel. It also includes connecting 27 sanitary sewer laterals. Those run down your rear yards in the neighborhood, and they cross Barberry. So we'll be removing about 60 feet of that and tying it into the new relief sewer. It also includes the full reconstruction of all the catch basins, road drainage. That'll be tied into the Barberry relief sewer as well. Because this is such deep excavation, we range from about 15 feet deep at the north end down to about 20 feet deep at the south end. So part of the project, we're going to be isolating the water mains by putting on the majority of the streets a new gate valve on the east side of Barberry. So that way we can shut down both valves. Nobody will be without water. They can build this sewer, and then when the sewer work is done, they'll reconnect those water mains, reinstall them, and complete the loop at all those streets. It also includes all the pavement reconstruction and grass restoration. That'd be the roadway paving, driveway approaches, and new sidewalks once the construction's complete. And then the next thing we'd like to talk about is the hydraulic modeling that went into the project. And Jason Mateo's here to give a quick overview of the hydraulic modeling and analysis of the project area.
I'm Jason Mateo. I led the hydraulic modeling and evaluation for this project. We also prepared the flow control requirements for the construction contractor to meet throughout construction. Very excited to see this project finally come to fruition and alleviate the project area from recurring basement flooding. Our hydraulic modeling and analysis really focused on, we modeled the majority of the city's combined sewer collection system, but we really focused on the benefit area, which is really bounded by Brest Avenue to the north, James Street to the west, Fort Street to the east, and then Eureka Road to the south. The primary purpose of our hydraulic modeling and our analysis was really to better understand exactly what the contributing sources of the recurring basement flooding were. And once we did that, then we established the sizing of the connections and the relief sewer itself. So that hydraulic modeling really served as the basis of design for the relief sewer. And we also have, along with the 27 mid-block combined sewer connections to alleviate those areas, we're going to connect to the Sycamore sewer. So the Sycamore sewer will convey the 1 year, 1 hour design storm flow rates to the Howard, and then overflows, anything that exceeds a 1 year, 1 hour will overtop and discharge into the Eureka Tunnel. And so in terms of level of service, so typically for new storm sewer, we would use a 10-year, 24-hour storm for our basis of design for new storm sewer. With the project, the relief sewer in place, the hydraulic modeling had predicted that we would have our maximum level for that 10-year, 24-hour storm would be below basement elevations. Currently, and as many of you have experienced in the past, currently the level of service is far less than that. For that same 10-year, 24-hour storm, our modeling had predicted flooding to grade in some areas, certainly the risk of basement backups. So that all being said, based on our analysis and the design, the relief sewer will significantly relieve the risk of basement backups.
My name is Joe Alberts. I'm geotechnical engineer for the project. So geotechnical is soils, rock, constructability for the project. So before the job got rolling too far, we went along the alignment and we did test borings to sample soils along the whole project alignment. If people remember our drill rig out there, that was like 3 years ago when we drilled it. So we took soil samples and we wrote a report to classify those soils. So the contractor knows what he has to put it in, how he's going to excavate it. There's 2 tunnels on the job, one under Northline and one under Eureka. So we're going to install the pipe by tunneling, and that's going to be by, it uses the tunnel machine, which is round, and it turns. And it cuts into the soil, it brings the soil into the tunnel machine, lifts it up, and then rail cars will go underneath it. It drops into rail cars. They'll bring the rail cars back to the shaft, they lift them up and dump them in the truck. Then there's concrete pipe we put in behind that tunnel machine, and we push them into the ground. So as the tunnel machine moves, the pipes move along too. And that's how we'll build the Northline Tunnel and the Eureka Tunnel. At Eureka, there's a drawing here. There's the existing tunnel that everything outlets to in the wet weather. That drops into the Eureka Tunnel. So we're going to build a vertical shaft, so a vertical hole in the ground. And it's going to look like an oak barrel. So from the top, you look down, you see the steel I-beam. There'll be wood boards and then another steel I-beam. And that's how that's how we'll excavate the soil down to the top of that tunnel. They'll core a hole in the tunnel and we'll build a finished manhole. So that's how the flow will get in. The soils along the alignment are going to be stiff clay. So it's, if you tried to squeeze it, it would be hard for you to squeeze the soil out of your hand. That's what stiff clay is going to be. Then the rock for this alignment is like 60 feet down. So you won't ever see the rock in this job. This is some of the best ground to excavate through. So we got pretty good pricing from the contractor. He's going to be able to dig almost vertically. And then he'll use a trench box to hold the soils up. But it should be pretty efficient with the digging. We saw that on the Sycamore sewer that we just got done. Soils behaved really well on that job. The trench, so the clay comes out of the trench and then we backfill it with sand. And the sand is easier to compact, so that'll cut down on future settlements. And that's why we put sand in the hole instead of trying to compact that clay again. If you try to use that clay, you'll never get it compacted in. And then 5 years from now or so, 3 to 5 years, you'll be able to see 3-4 inches of settlement on the ground surface, so our road won't stand up. That's why we're pulling the clay out and putting sand in. You're good? Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Joe. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the project sequencing now and traffic control. Obviously, the project is the entire length of Barberry from Eureka, which is approximately 7,700 linear feet. The contractor, there are 27 lateral streets through there, and that run east-west from Eureka to Brush Road, which is our corporate limits through there. And the contractor is going to progress through the project, probably from the north to the south. They're still working on that, the actual sequencing of it. But within that area, the contractor is not allowed to close any more than 3 of the lateral streets at a time. And that the purpose of that is to allow the contractor enough room to work, because they have to maneuver their equipment around, they have to bring the piping in and things along those lines. So we anticipate approximately 20 to 30 days where those 3 streets will be cut off. So Street 1 will be cut off, and then they'll move, and then Street 1 will be freed up through there. And what will be placed in there will be maintenance aggregate after that, and that's a stone base that you'll have access to your driveway, your garages at that point. The approaches will be removed, but they're going to be replaced with stone through there. And then the contractor will come through and pave in 3 large chunks, which are approximately 2,500 feet each area. And the reason that we don't go 3 feet at the 3 streets at a time is for pricing purposes, candidly, because it takes quite a bit of mobilization to pave a road. So we're looking for them to pave basically half a mile at a time, approximately 2,500 feet through there. And then also Eureka Road will be closed off will be reduced down to 2 lanes, 1 lane in each direction. The southern lane will be completely closed off with concrete barriers. The shaft that Joe is referring to for the Eureka Tunnel, which is a 13-foot diameter tunnel that we're going into, that is at the southwest corner of Barberry and Eureka Road through there. So that area will be completely closed off for probably about 4 months. Eureka will be down to 2 lanes. It'll start narrowing down, heading westbound in Wyandotte, and then heading eastbound. It'll head obviously east of the project. Some of the businesses will all have access through there on the south side through alleyways. Arby's will be accessible the entire time through there. We're starting the presentation, then we're going to do questions afterwards.
I thought it was supposed to start at 6. Some of us that came in just slightly before 6 are missing part of the presentation.
We'll be able to go through that again. They wanted to get this on tape, and we'll go through the presentation again at 6.
Okay.
And
I was just concerned that I missed part of the
Nope.
presentation.
So just to allow getting back into the traffic control, the traffic control will begin in May. The traffic control measures through there. The tree removal has started this week through there, and the project has to be substantially complete by January of 27, which means that the relief sewer is in place at the time by January 27. 2/3 of the pavement have to be done by the winter of 27 the end of the year 27. There may be a gap of approximately 2,500 feet that's not available, that may be stone throughout the fall, throughout the winter, with pavement coming back through there. The contractor is responsible for all trash components through there, so that they will take the trash. So we'll work with the trash company, make sure that there's no impact to trash throughout the project. During the project, you'll see multiple Hennessy Engineers people out there that will be identified in Hennessy Engineers shirts and vests. And if you have any questions, certainly feel free to go up and ask them all of those, any questions that you may have, any concerns. John Miller is our construction manager, and we will address those concerns immediately, and we'll talk to the contractor if we need to and make sure that everything's taken care of. If there's special considerations that people have, disabilities or some concerns, we're going to send out notices. Please make us aware of those so that we can accommodate people at that situation through there. And that concludes the presentation for the Barberry Relief Sewer. Thank you. So.
Yeah, and I would like to just, I know we had during the first presentation, some questions, general questions in terms of communication with the neighborhoods as the progression goes through. You had mentioned that you're going to have your people with Hennessy vests there for any questions that residents may have while construction is going on, and just kind of that flow of information and how you proceed that. And I don't know if John wants to allude to it, because I know you mentioned it in the first
John, why don't you come up
presentation,
here?
and just explain how the notifications will happen. We will be posting them also on our website, but you will be notifying all of the corner homes. But come on up, John, and you can just briefly give some information about how the communication will flow on a timely basis.
Okay. John Miller with Hennessy Engineers. The scope of the work and the size of the work, the area, is the reason why notices will go out on the city website that you'll be able to take a look at. What our plans are, though, is to also get hand-delivered notices to all the corner addresses on Barberry. And these notices will be delivered in a fashion based on the sequencing of work and the amount of time that has expended between work and its phases. On those notices, we'll give you information, general overall information, and then we'll also give you construction phasing, what is taking place now, what to expect in the next few days or the next few weeks. We'll also have information on there about parking, where you can park, trash pickup, and we'll also have information on there about mail delivery, which should not be interrupted since everybody's got mailboxes on the east-west streets. Now, the other important information that was mentioned is for any disabilities, for people that have disabilities, you will need to contact and call that number that's on the notice so that we can get information from you as to certain information that is required so that we can accommodate you. What we have done in the past in other projects is to put up a temporary handicap parking sign to assist you, and then to make sure there are no obstructions or to make sure that you're able to convey back and forth between your vehicle and your home. These notices will be delivered, and again, as the construction is going along. It's going to be quite some time. So you're going to be getting a lot of notices. In the beginning, usually notices will be about 3 pages long because we want to give you as much information as possible in the beginning, hoping that you retain that information. As the project proceeds, those notices will get a little bit shorter, maybe just 2 pages front and back